This is the first part of, believe me, well, I'm going to double down. So this is part one. Part two, I'm going to post on True Oracle, and you'll have a link to that video at the end of this or in the description. As of last night, after my live event, I was reading cards. This morning I was reading cards. I'm going to tell you something. I am not convinced at all that this played out the way that they told us it played out with Nancy Guthrie. Now, I did watch some friends. They are the interview room. They had some very good points, but unfortunately, I fell asleep during the middle of it, and I haven't watched the end of it, but I did get some very important news, and I want to read on that. But this morning, I was advised that there's another note that came out from someone. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's from TMZ. This is day 146 of Nancy Guthrie Missing. It's disgusting because where is the sheriff? Where's Pima County? And I'm not blaming the deputies because I believe that there are many deputies that are ordered to do things, including arrest YouTubers, and they didn't want to do it. But what's up with that sheriff? What's up with what's going on? Well, I have some questions, and for just our sake, I may pose some of my opinions, perhaps as a question, because my question is to you. Now, if you'll do me a favor, don't mention names in the comments. They will be held, and I won't see them, but you can put initials. And always be kind. I appreciate that more than anything. Today, I want to turn back the clock. This is the clock. I just put a random time because I want to turn back the clock, my darlings. So let's turn back the clock. We are asking for the information for Nancy Guthrie Missing. Now, as we know, we've been through this. If you've been with me, there are a lot of things that are coming out about the porch guy and about Nancy. But I want to go through a few things that was in that TMZ note this morning that they had received. It was another Gmail account, and quite frankly, it was redacted very heavily. Remember, we were talking about the Bitcoin account, that there was $150 in it, and all of a sudden it's no longer available. $152. But now there's a new Bitcoin account. And the person who wrote it says that they have access and can tell someone where there's a telephone that has images, information about Nancy. And the images would be of perhaps Nancy's last day with the main kidnapper. He said there were two. I'm going to tell you, it kind of alluded, didn't say it, but it alluded like a couple. My question is now, where is Annie and Tommaso? Where are they? Now, the TMZ note said that there were images of Nancy and that they would give this for 1 Bitcoin. Now, the last time that they asked for 1 Bitcoin, the Bitcoin was approximately $30,000. Today, I looked at Bitcoin and it's 59,000 plus. Why doesn't somebody just pay this? $59,000 is a drop in the bucket to get your mother back. I have a theory. We're going to talk more about it tomorrow night during my live stream. I'm going to try to hold no bars, but I have to be careful, and I know that you understand that as well. I feel that something is going on. I feel that there are too many people that are involved. I also feel that there was a mistake because to me, it's not a coincidence that all of this information is now starting to come out. Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons is Mercury is about to go retrograde, on Monday, June 29th. Retrograde, many people feel is a bad thing. I don't. I'm looking forward to it. We are in a shadow period right now. Mercury retrograde handles communication. And if you've noticed, there are a lot of cases that all of a sudden seem like they're just erupting and things are sifting to the surface. It's because it's a preparation for what is to come. And there's more. There will be another letter coming. I can tell you. When you see that one card that says contact coming to you, well, that's it. We got it today. There's more coming. I believe, my darlings, that this is getting hairy. And what do I say that? Because I think people are getting close to figuring this out. Who? Well, not the local. I believe that the regular people like you and me are almost solving this. Why? Well, because these two people, Chris and Karen McDonough, went to Tucson, Arizona, and it seems like Nancy Guthrie has not only vanished from her home, but vanished from the city. There are no flyers. There's no information up, and you try to talk to people and they all just get quiet. In fact, his wife Karen is a credentialed professional journalist. No shade on anybody else. But she knows how to interview people, and she interviewed one of Nancy's church buddies, the church ladies. I don't know about you, but every time I say church ladies, I think of Saturday Night Live, right? The church ladies. All right, I digress. She seemed reluctant to talk about Nancy. Now, this is supposed to be her buddy. And at the end, she tells Miss Karen, well, I'm not going to say anything more. Now, I'm paraphrasing, okay? But pretty much I've given my last interview and hung up on Karen. The whole idea, if this was her friend, what's going on? So, I think one of three things. Here we are. Either fear, being bullied, which also may coincide with the fear, or three, she knows something, because the moment that Karen started asking about the family, ironically enough, that's when the tide of this conversation turned. And this woman was upset clearly. She had a recording of it. It's pretty amazing. And she said, no, I've given my last interview. And Karen said, well, can I call you back sometime? Hangs up the phone. Not only are they rude in Tucson, Arizona, not everybody, I know some of you are watching, but it just seemed like, okay, she's gone now. We're just going to wipe the slate clean. How do they feel about this latest letter that has come out to TMZ? Actually, it's an email to TMZ. How do they feel about that? Asking for 1 Bitcoin, and that they know, listen, I'm going to tell you something. In my deepest thoughts, something is wrong. Someone knows something. Now, I suspect that. Now, I want to go back through our Book of Bull, and that's exactly what it is, because quite frankly, I'm just going to say this. In my opinion, and I'm allowed to have an opinion for the Constitution and the Second Amendment, there's something very suspicious, and perhaps someone covering up something. I don't like it, and especially when someone says, oh, I don't feel safe. Someone is in front of my house or my mother's house, and I don't feel safe. Now, girl, come here a second. Come here. You have the best of the best retired law enforcement or retired Fed, or you have whatever type of security, and you are in New York and you don't feel safe. Well, hello. I got news for you, sister. What about your mama? You have all this protection. Why didn't you pay for her camera that was inside and out? Why didn't you pay for that? Because you could have gotten clicks. Or did you? My question is there information on the inside that we don't know? How did Savannah know that her mother left with her night clothes and no shoes? I have another question. I have a lot of questions. I'm taking a breath. Where's your brother? Where's your sister and brother-in-law? Does somebody want to wipe the slate clean and just forget about you? You came up there. First of all, I'm just going to tell you this. I think it's political, and I think it got out of hand. Because quite frankly, I honestly don't believe that the family wanted the president to be involved. Now, that's my opinion, and this is not, it doesn't matter who likes who and who doesn't like who, but if you would have seen some of the posts, and some of them have been taken down on Facebook from Nancy Guthrie, she didn't like the current administration. She's allowed to. That's her right. A lot of people don't. It's not about who likes who. It's about the ability to be able to save someone. But it seems like this blew up and got out of hand. Because did Savannah want this to happen? Did she want it to go? Because all of a sudden it blew up like this, and everybody has been fenced off. No touch. Don't. And you can't get in touch with the sheriff, and you can't ask him what's going on, and you don't know what in the heck is happening, and he won't talk, and it's word salad, and it's nobody is doing anything except, and I'm not even going to include myself in that. I don't have boots on the ground. There's so many that do, that take their own dime. Because you know what? The majority of the cases are solved by the public. By the public. That's why a lot of us wanted this to blow up and go public so we could find Nancy, but evidently there are those that don't want to find her. So what happened? Now, I don't know if it's true. I heard that these two are behind on property taxes. I don't know. I guess I could look, and I'm not going to. But are they gone? Their neighbors say that they are gone. Should you check on Vietnam flights? Should we have learned a lesson from Donald Adelson? Because look, here's the other thing that I want to invite all of you to know. Yeah, this is a 4-pager. The DA's office Now, that office supposedly, allegedly, had some trouble. And I'm not going to get into that because I'm not here. I'm not law enforcement and I'm not medical and all that. So I'm not here to report the details of that. You can look yourself, and I don't want to take that time, but listen, they had problems just like Nonads did, who is given a choice. Take an indictment or leave. And he left and he went from Texas to Arizona. And there was someone else in his administration that was given the same opportunity, and he changed his last name so they wouldn't know who they are. And why isn't Arizona firing these people? Why aren't they holding them accountable? It's political. It's political. They're going to buck the system. It's political. But here's the thing, okay? Let's get back to this. You know, you're only as good as your DA and as your judge. We've seen this in a lot of cases because the DA is the one who has to bring charges. If someone stands in front of someone else and gives them a ticket to paradise, and it's shown to the DA and the DA refuses to give charges or indict, well, guess what? Because there's a legal precedence. And then what if they did? And what if they got in front of a judge that felt the same way that, I don't know, maybe, or Nonads felt? Oh no. So who gets away with that? Possibly the couple that is mentioned in the TMZ note, who said he wasn't the idiot. I don't think he used that word, but he wasn't the person that sent people on a wild goose chase to Mexico. That certainly was. That certainly, definitely was. Savannah girl, you know something. Dry those eyes if you can. And start telling, because I'm going to tell you something. If they find out that there is somebody very familiar and close to Nancy that took her and something happened to her, you're going to be in a huge, big conundrum. Now, here's the thing. Fake news media, I'm going to call them that. There's only one station in Pima County that the sheriff will speak to, and that's pick and choose. But shame on those other stations that know this information about Nonads and are not saying a bloody thing. It was Nonads who called the station, the TV station, and said, oh, we're getting ready to arrest some of these YouTubers out there. Just wanted to give you a heads up. And of course they raced out there. Accused these people of doing stuff that they weren't doing, to the point where even the lieutenant said, look, I didn't want to do this, but I have to. And wrote it in a report. Oh, guess what? Get your checkbooks out, because I just kind of have a feeling that there's going to be a settlement. I'm ticked today, if you can believe that, because listen, I harp on credibility, character, and integrity. What happened? Well, I submit to you this. Do I believe now, do I believe that Nancy was returned home after the party? That's not enough. Do I believe that this scene was staged like a play? Do I believe that there is evidence that will convict two people that are still there? Do I believe the DNA that was sent to Quantico after being in Florida, a delay, will come back of any other person that can be arrested? Do I believe that someone may be put into place to take the place of someone else to get an arrest on the Nancy Guthrie case? I don't know. It depends on how close any of us get. Because I'm going to tell you something. At this point, I'm not so sure I will accept anybody that they try to put in the place. Now, they're saying that we don't know exactly when Porch Guy was up there, and that's very true. However, you can tell by the moon phase, and the moon phase of the night or the early morning that Nancy supposedly, allegedly went missing, you can figure that by the glow. I'm going to say by the moon light, by the guy on the front porch and how he walked from around the house. He walked, my darlings, from around the driveway, not through. Now, I don't know if you heard this or not, but it was told that last night when Nancy, by the church lady, that Nancy liked to go down and get her mail every day and she wanted to walk, and she called one of her friends to help her walk down through the driveway. This woman had mobility issues. And guess what? Somebody is telling that because for this woman to have such mobility issues, and then you go to return her home after your little party get together, and then there is a 2-minute. And how do you tell there's 2 minutes? Well, it was recorded, I guess, on the electric garage door opener. There was some way to figure out how that was. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Either somebody is going to get an Academy Award for this acting, or somebody better start looking in that direction. Because at this point, I am not convinced at all. Yeah, but Zelda, what about the theory that you had of the island guy? What about that theory? I'm still on board with it, and here's why. Here's why. First of all, there's been no action taken except for the sheriff in Grand Junction put out the bolo. And he was on board because he knew it was there. But my darlings, listen to me a second. We don't know. That's why the IP address was handed over to the proper authorities way back when of the Google Trends that came out, I believe it was January 11th, looking 100% for Nancy Guthrie. And it was for images, address, etc., etc. No one else in the country had done that. And then there was one that came from Tucson, Arizona. Sorry, my darlings. Yeah, I'm fired up. Because here's the thing. Are we being gaslit? The time and the expense the people have gone. So what do I really think? Well, could it have been that this was still some type of something? Now, here's the thing. If somebody really sat down and went through the timeline and said, you know what? I want to get back at my family member because I don't like the fact that she's more wealthy than us or me or whomever. What has she done that we could come back and say? Because here's what I'm thinking. I think it's a total mistake. And the fact that she got a letter, and she is Savannah, that basically says, Dear Savannah. Well, does she not have other family members? If this was from the kidnapper, it should say, Dear Savannah, Dear Annie, Dear Cameron, et al. Dear, but it was Dear Savannah only. Oh, the telltale signs are starting to come out. I've seen this before, and for those who feel that, oh no, I can't believe that, listen, people do in desperation what they think they need to do in order to save family members from convictions. Because I'm going to tell you something. If there happened to be a particular couple that was related to, hypothetically now, I'm not accusing anybody. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. But hypothetically, if something happened, and let's just say there was an accident that night before, and it took them a little bit to figure out how they were going to work this through, how they were going to set it out. Because remember, there was some time that passed from the time that Annie and Tommaso went to the house that Sunday. And they said they called, well, you can still call people and find and ask where your mother is. You can still do that if you already know. I don't know. Can you? I'm sure. But now the pieces of this puzzle are starting to come together. Thank you, Mercury retrograde, for sifting this to the top. Now, think about the ratings. Think about the pushback. Think about the careers of other family members. That has happened before. Think about what would happen if a family member was found. I'm just hypothetically saying, and you had a huge big career coming. And then you had two people convicted and it starts pulling you in. How long did you know about this? When did this happen? Because I'm going to tell you something, the way that Pima County is acting and the way that all of this, I'm concerned nothing would ever happen. And maybe they're banking on this. Maybe there has been something there. Got to be careful. Somebody's fibbing. Somebody's trying to, because here's the thing I'm going to submit to you. Maybe, just maybe, something happened with Nancy that was an accident. And maybe, just maybe, somebody said, oh gosh, what are we going to do? We just can't tell the truth and say that this was an accident. But my darlings, there's a reason why there's another couple. Because there's more than one kidnapper. And I do believe that it is tied because there's an allusion to a bigger person, the ringleader. So I submit to you, and I've always kind of thought that it was just an accident, that maybe Nancy, it was an accident, and they're trying to scramble. And who were the people that I saw on the remote? I don't know, because their faces were covered. But I do know this. I saw Nancy raise up, and she looked as though she recognized somebody. I've been saying that right from the get-go. And then all of a sudden, someone else walked in the room. And it was in a realization of what was happening. I mean, who can tell the mindset of a person who would do this? Do I believe that the porch? No. In fact, I'm almost want to say that the porch guy is gone. Do I believe that there was a vehicle that was separate? There was some type of vehicle that was a SUV and it was dark from what I saw. But do I believe those spots that belonged to Nancy? And of course they tested for oxygen and they said that she was alive. Listen, I'm going to just tell you right now, I don't believe it came from a kidnapping. I believe Nancy either had a nosebleed or I believe that she hurt her because she went out the front door. Why hasn't anyone talked to the church ladies that supposedly, allegedly took her out to the mailbox that day? Did she hurt herself? Because I saw a box of Band-Aids on the counter. Did she hurt herself? So, my darlings, it's time to now start questioning the tactics of where we are. Because I'm going to tell you something. There's one thing about a criminal, but there's another thing about a criminal with a badge. I'm not saying anybody is. I'm just saying that as a statement. Because we see now what's going on with the Karen Reed case and with Michael Proctor and with all of those law enforcement up there that shame the name of being law enforcement. Do I believe that the feds are being held back? You see, people will put things into place for the right things, right? I'm not saying anybody has taken any money or any payout or anything else. I'm talking in generalities because it happens. But this is getting ridiculous. And now the church lady. Oh my goodness, let's get out the cards. Here we are back again, my darlings. Please do me a favor, like and subscribe, because listen, this is starting to heat up. It's starting to heat up tomorrow night at 7 p.m. That's New York time. I'm going to be going live on both this channel and simultaneously the Fate and Fortune with True Oracle channel. You do not want to miss it. We're going to be looking at some things, and I'm going to be deep diving in, and oh boy. So rest up. Who knows how long it's going to go. So please like and subscribe. Yeah, this is me. I feel like I get a little forceful with this, but you know what? It's ridiculous. I've worked enough with families. I'm going to say this. I've worked with law enforcement. There's nothing wrong. But law enforcement sometimes is a little embarrassed to say, oh, we pulled in a psychic. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And you know, it's okay. I give them a block pass. They're allowed to do that. But I'm also going to say that primarily when I have worked with families that have someone who is missing, and especially in these dire circumstances, they don't act like this. They don't shut it down and just go on. They don't act like this. I'm sorry. Don't mean to offend anybody. That's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. Let's see what the cards have to say. We've got this deck seems to be now wanting to come out to read for this particular case. I'm all about it. Let's see what is said. There's that Queen of Cups again. Now that is Nancy. The Queen of Cups technically is a water sign. Now, Nancy is not a water sign, but I've always felt that she is connected to a water sign. She is connected, not a water sign, pardon me, a water. There's water around her. There's water. Also, the Queen of Cups is a domestic woman. Love home, love family, that she did. So now the cards understand. We've got Nancy there. We've got Nancy there. The Nine of Swords. Okay. Hey, I can live with this. The Nine of Swords, first of all, swords are communication. We're in this communication planet, Mercury, shadow period. Now, the swords can cut both ways. They can actually cauterize or heal, and they can also do a lot of damage. We've been seeing some swords lately, but this particular sword is now one that keeps you up at night. It's that sitting up at 3 a.m. hour, holding your head in your hands and going, oh, crap. What did I do? How can I fix this? Now, if I say this, maybe that person will say this. And if I don't say that, well, then maybe they'll say this and this. And then I can say this. And maybe what I can do, instead of letting it drop, I can continue to still write letters to TMZ. You get it. It's a card that someone can be very much haunted. Another swords, the Two of Swords. Now this comes, it's fun, kind of funny. Protecting your communication, protecting your energy. And with this card in the original artwork, there's someone sitting there that has a blindfold on. And above the blindfold is a wee little white dot. And that wee little white dot is there to significate, is that a word? Yeah, I guess it is. It's there to signify, that's what I'm looking for, that perhaps your third eye is getting ready to open. So do me a favor, my darlings. Click on the link, subscribe, like, do all those things, and get ready for part 2, because we're going to keep going. And I'll put the link here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a minute.